Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all my Cardfight Vanguard Alden deck profile for December 2023. This is the new Keter Sanctuary support that we received in the latest Cardfight Vanguard booster set. This was the deck used by Jinky Mukai when not using the Dragon Tree deck, so I can only assume this was his original deck. He used it when facing against Gui, the AI that he created, and that AI was now using Dragon Tree, and he used Alden. It's a pretty standard Keter Sanctuary deck, just being able to set up superior called units on the field with a full field of power to gain additional benefits for the number of monsters or units that you have on the field. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the ride deck. For our grade 0, it is Knight of Heavenly Admired, Admis. When wrote upon, if you went second, draw a card. Our grade 1 is Knight of Heavenly Lasting, Tranquilia. When this unit's wrote upon, 3 cards with different reveal. When this unit is wrote upon, 3 cards with different grades from hand. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Choose up to 1 grade 1 or less unit card from among them. Call it to rear and shuffle your deck. If you did not call a card, you may call this card to rear guard. So then with the reveal option of then being able to check top 5 and choose 1 grade 1 or less unit from among them and get you a superior call, you have the option at least to call this card out from the soul to rear guard if you didn't call something out from the top reveal. And then also the next unit is Clear Sky Knight Sodius. It's a really weird, misprint. If you see 3 cards with different grades, they forgot the reveal for it. When wrote upon, reveal 3 cards with different grades from your hand. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Choose up to 1 grade 2 or less card from among them. Call it to rear. If you did not, call this card. So at least you're always calling a rear guard if you didn't call one off of the top of the deck. With our grade 3 being the additional sword that connects the heaven and earth Alden. This is your go-to grade 3 for your ride deck and also for the additional copies in the main deck, which I think is also pretty cool that it is based off of another unit that we've had previously for the Bastion deck, Alden. So along with that, I do want to run 3 copies of this card additionally in the main deck. I only had the 2 additional ones, so you have just a placeholder. I have Wayward Therapy Angel here as a discard cost card to run in the deck, but with this card on the Vanguard circle, once per turn, you can counterblast 1, soul blast 1, choose up to 1 grade 3 or less card from your hand. Call it to rear guard. If you do not call a card, draw 2 cards. And on Vanguard, when this unit attacks, if you have 3 or more rear guards with different grades, soul blast 1, choose 1 of your rear guards and return to the hand. Then choose up to 2 cards with a total sum of their grades being less than or equal to the original grade of the card returned to the hand from your hand, and call each of them to the rear guard in the same column, giving you more of a setup for multiple attacks when Alden swings into your opponent with just the use of a soul blast 1, choosing a rear guard and returning it to the hand, and then just the sum of the grades. So if you bounce a grade 3, then you have the option to call a grade 2 and 1 into the columns in the same column to those rear guard circles. We also run the additionally 4 copies, but once again, just placeholders with the Wayward Therapy Angels. For Clear Skies Dragon, Light Leads Dragon. If you have a unit with Alden in its card name, this unit gets boost, and on rear guard at the end of the battle, this unit attacked or boosted, put another rear guard in the same column as this one into the soul. Choose 1 of your units with Alden and gets plus 10,000 to end of turn, giving us an additional power boost thanks to Alden on the field to be able to hit for some bigger numbers after you use this card. Also clearing up the other rear guards for when you will bounce this card for the additional rear guards from your hand to call out. And also the 4 copies of Gigantic Assailer. When this unit attacks, if you have a unit with Alden in its card name, Soul Charge 1. If a trigger unit with Soul Charge, it gets plus 10 until end of battle. So it makes up for missing out on a potential trigger unit that could have given power to Gigantic Assailer for you to then be able to use Gigantic Assailer for the Soul Charge power for all of the different Soul Blasts that you'll want to use with Alden, whether it be for its when it attack ability or its Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1 once per turn Vanguard ability. For the grade 2s, we're also running the 4 copies of Sharpness Knight Ermac. When placed on rear guard, if you have a unit with Alden in its card name, this unit gets plus 5,000 till end of turn. If it was placed by your card's ability, it gets plus 15,000 instead of 5,000. So you have the additional power of when this card can be called out with Alden, and then having your Vanguard as Alden. Just when you have a unit with Alden and its card name, you have the benefit of the additional plus power. And if it was placed by a card ability, which most of the time it will be with your Vanguard's ability, having an additional 15k to then swing against your opponent with as that multiple attack. For the grade 1s, we're running 4 copies of Sage of Civilization Faran. When this unit is placed on rearguard, this unit gets plus 2,000 till end of turn. If you have a unit with Alden in its card name, discard a card from your hand and countercharge 1. So helping with the countercharge power that once again you'll use with your Alden Vanguard just for the draw power setup to have units in your hand to be able to call out. Your Faran at least gives you more of a countercharge power just having a Vanguard with Alden in its card name, and also an additional plus 2,000 power to help with boosting the other rearguard, especially if that rearguard is Ermac after bouncing a grade 3 to get your columns all set up for additional power attacks and boosts. And also the 2 copies of Yellow Jewel Beast Topaz, so then more to then return to your ride deck to gain additional shield power when on the guard circle, or just being able to call additional units onto the field using this card as well. And then for the other grade 1s, 4 copies of Dragon Tree Wretch, sold as a cob. From the back row rearguard, once per turn when your rearguard is placed in the front row in the same column as this unit, you can counterblast 1 and draw a card. So it just helps to set up more draw power in your hand for you to utilize those different grades you have in your hand. The Dragon Tree marker doesn't do really anything since we don't have a Dragon Tree Vanguard, but we have the full power of this card to be able to at least set up more hand, utility for the cards we draw off of the counterblast. Then being able to make up for that counterblast with some of the other grade 1s we run as well. And then also running the 4 copies of the Sentinel Palladium Zeal Dragon. Just didn't want to run too many orders in the deck, so we have, free draw power into the units we need to set up all of the attacks that we run in the deck. So Palladium Zeal Dragon, if you want to run Elementaria Sanctitude, you can try taking out a spot for it. But the one order that I do run in the deck is the Gradius Gradel, just to give us more of a Persona Ride power on top of the grade 3 Aldens that we run for the additional soul buildup, but also just having one additional way to enact Persona Ride gives more pressure to the front row and additional draw power into the deck also. And then for the trigger lineup, we're running the 6 criticals, so 4 copies of Blade Feather Dragon and 2 copies of White Fang Witch Disma for, once again, added critical pressure using the lineup, with our front row gaining additional power with the 4 Alpac and the 1 additional front trigger for the frontliner, lineup. For the trigger lineup for the Bard of Heavenly Son Alpac, giving the additional 5k shield for defensive measures if we draw into more cards to use to guard against our opponent, with our heals being 2 copies of Palpitation Angel, 1 copy of Invigorate Sage, and the 1 Hardiness Tier Sorceress to finish off the heal triggers, with our over trigger being the 1 copy of Martinoa for the additional rear guard drive check power, if need be. A little weaker for the fact that you will be reducing one of your grade 3s to a grade 2 and grade 1 column, so if you wanted to, you can try one of the Cray Elemental over triggers from the Festival Collection instead of this over trigger. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. It's one of the newer decks that we got from the Flight of Chakrabarthi booster set, and I hope you all enjoyed it. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.